This is Top Shop Podcast.
Shop Podcast.
Top Shop Podcast.
Podcast for automotive service business owners by Paul Donahue.
Hey, Top Shop Podcast guys. I've got a second generation. Colin Ammazzalorso. Sorry, having a hard time with the last name. It means to kill a bear, so don't mess with the guy. So he's Italian. But Colin, you've taken over the family shop. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how long ago did you take it over from your parents?
Technicality 6 years ago, but truly totally solo by myself, I would say in June.
Okay, so you've been solo since June of this year.
Yeah.
And Sunny Service,
correct.
I mean, the business has been there how many years? 41, right?
So we were in Margate since 1984, and then this June we sold that property and moved into a larger location down the road about 2.5 miles into Atlantic City, and it's a much larger location. We went from a 2-bay gas station to a 5 lifts for flat bay auto repair shop on a very busy expressway now.
On a very big, okay, so you've got a really, really good location now. So you're getting a lot of drive-by traffic, a lot of new customers just from the location change? Yeah, okay.
Correct.
The location that you moved into, had there been a shop there before for a long time?
No, actually, the shop that was here had only been here for about 4 or 5 years. It was a really good tow company. He was doing used car sales, and they had a small shop that they were doing 1 or 2 lifts inside. Just kind of being able to try to accommodate the used car lot, basically.
Right.
Still a really, really good family, good people. They have another location in the heart of Atlantic City, so he was kind enough to sell me his location here, and then he moved back into his old business where he was in Atlantic City.
Okay, that's awesome. I've had shop owners that are growing rapidly because they're buying shops from a lot of guys that are retiring, and they didn't have an exit strategy. A lot of them don't even have a website. After 40 years of repairing cars, they just go turn the key one day, and then another guy comes in and completely cuts the place and redoes it, and then turns the lights on, and he's instantly got a clientele because the locals are used to it. A shop's been there for 40 years, so that's why I was asking. So you've been in the business. You grew up in the business.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I did.
That shop, right? Right. Yeah. Okay.
I did everything I could to stay out of it too.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
No, not at all. I was dumb enough. I was like, let me do one industry harder than this one, which was the restaurant industry. And yeah,
brilliant. That was
crazy. Yeah.
An auto repair shop is a cakewalk compared to a restaurant. So, I've heard. I have a friend of mine that owns a couple of restaurants, and I joke, I know a couple of restaurants that own my friend. That's what I say. It's pretty hard for him to get away. So, Colin, let me ask you a few questions. You obviously, so you grew up in the shop. You're second generation, and by the way, this is a massive blessing because the gratitude thing to get a business handed to you where you can take your youth and say, hey, digital marketing, a bigger shop, you can do the things that you want to do because you're next generation. It's actually an amazing gift because I went to this business seminar one time, just a long time ago. Maybe the other shop owners would want to hear this. And the guy said, don't ever start a business. He said, starting a business is like going to the airport and then going to your gate and someone says, hey, you see all those parts out there on the tarmac? That's your plane. Here's the manual on how to put it together. And by the way, after you get the plane put together, here's the manual on how to fly it. So I didn't listen to the guy. So, and he's right. So it is so much better to take over a business that already has a customer base. And this is historical. This is based on data. It is so much better to take over a business that's already there and has a customer base and then apply the standard operating procedures and the things that you want to that business. So to be able to get a business that's got 40 years in the area, turned over to you, it's a big responsibility. And it looks like you're already doing well with it.
Sorry about that.
Was it your idea?
Yeah, we're doing.
Was it your idea to get the bigger shop?
I've been wanting to get into a bigger shop. I was starting to see kind of like the trends of the economics and everything like that just going on with the private equity coming into the play and like all these big people just coming into our like area and whatnot. Like we got Midas, we got all these chain shops basically that are trying to take over and really saturate the area hard.
Yeah.
And I really looked at it as like the days of two-bay shop is kind of going away anyway for the simple reason that you need the room to calibrate stuff. You need the room to do like just so much technology involved to just work on today's cars. So the way we looked at it wasn't going to be sustainable for me to stay in a two-bay shop, gas station style, for the rest of it's a different time today versus it was 40 years ago.
Yeah, and you're 100% on track. So the Christian Brothers and the Burke Brothers, if you look at how those shops are built, that's what the consumer expects today. They don't expect the two-bay gas station thing anymore. So you're 100% on track. Yeah. So let me ask you, since you grew up in the business, what major changes have you seen in the major changes that you've seen in the last 5 or 10 years that are going to really impact how auto repair shops business? What do you think the biggest impacts are?
There's a bunch. My top three would be the people themselves, like as far as the employees, has become harder to acquire good talent and whatnot, which I'm sure everybody agrees with me on that one.
Yeah.
So we've had to like kind of pivot as far as doing like in-house training, ensuring that we pay for the whole team to go to like MACA for Super Saturday or Tools or ASTA down in Carolinas and whatnot. So it's just so much more now. You can't really be too much of a hard ass with the team. You've got to really mentor them. You can't just tell them what to do and walk away. You got to work with them and make them want to be here, especially in our industry, considering how much money it is to take for purchasing tools, let alone doing anything else. So we've really gotten to the point where we created, luckily I'm fully staffed and I have a wait list of people coming in trying to work here, but it's become where we've had to create that culture of wanting to learn and constantly grow and mentorship between me, the rest of my team, and they actually mentor each other because everybody's got their own niches that they're better at and whatnot. So they all work on that.
Yeah, that's my fourth question. What role do you believe training and ongoing education play in a shop's long-term success? So obviously, you're placing a high value on it. So, and it is really important. I mean, the days of when your dad opened the shop, I could go down to Zayre's or Kmart and buy a side marker bulb for my '71 Ford Cougar for 25 cents and replace it with a Phillips head screwdriver, and not anymore.
Yeah, those days are past. And honestly, like I feel that we get like kind of the bad light on our industry just because we're so far behind. Like if you look at your electricians or plumbers, they have like apprentice programs that you come in, you make good money, they give you some supplies, they get you rolling, they teach you, and then you can grow throughout. It's definitely something that I definitely see. Not just myself, but a ton of other shops that I talk to and I work with and whatnot. Everybody's kind of getting onto that program where we're all trying to create. And I mean, we have the partnership with NAPA as well, where, they have that apprentice program and that thing goes miles and miles and miles with help as far as just giving us that direction that we need to really help push that forward. And then there's other programs out there and there's tons of it. Like, well, Pat's got some. It's everywhere, and that's obviously the thing. And I mean, I'm sure everybody heard about the Ford CEO saying what he had to say, which is pretty funny. But it's not untrue in a lot of ways. And there's certain things that just needs to be pushed in our industry. The other thing is you're not a mechanic anymore. I really feel that most mechanics and shop owners and everything like that really push for their computer engineers, software designers, programmers. Like the list just becomes on and on and on. You can't just be that high school dropout too much anymore in this industry. This industry, you actually have to go and get that knowledge and whatnot and get that hands-on experience plus the schooling experience behind it to understand cars now, because you're an electrician as well.
Right.
It's crazy how hard it is now, and it's fun, but it definitely makes it a challenge for, I feel, getting more people wanting to come into the industry.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a really big shift in the trades. Even President Trump is pushing for it. So there was a bill of goods sold to America that, hey, you need to go to college and get a degree. Oh, and I don't want my son to be to be an auto mechanic. Now ASA certified techs are making $120 a year. And the one with the degree can't get a job at McDonald's. So
Mm-hmm.
what you mentioned is an important shift in the industry, is that more and more shop owners understand that, look, the days of just running an ad and getting great text to show up are passed a long time ago. So it's grabbing, young people out of school or whatever, and then convincing them that, hey, you like working with your hands, because people learn differently. So, and our education only teaches one way, memorize a bunch of facts. Well, there's a lot of people that don't learn that way. They like problem solving. They like using their hands. So more and more shops, I think, are doing exactly what you're doing. They're finding people that are apprenticeships. Hey, we're going to put you on tire changing or this or that, and then work them up from there.
Mm-hmm.
And those people tend to stay pretty loyal. So because you're the one that you're the shop that well, we hope. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like my goal isn't necessarily like, obviously, yes, I would love for them to pretty much serve their whole career with me, absolutely. But my goal isn't necessarily that they stay with me. Sometimes I do feel I need to grow them to a certain level so that they can go out, get another job somewhere else. And then my hope is that one day they'll just turn around and come back in a better level because they learned something outside of my shop. Because there's stuff that I know and whatnot, and there's stuff my guys know. But at the end of the day, it's only in this building that we know what we know. It's
Right.
always good for them, in my opinion, to go out and, go work at my buddy's shop, Jay's, at Walker's Automotive down the street from me, and see what they have to learn, because they do different stuff than we do. Like, he's doing full engine rebuilds. I don't do engine rebuilds, but it's always a good thing for that person to know about it if he wants to learn that. But so I always say, and I tell them when I hire them and bring them on board, is my main focus is to get you to a higher skill level than when you walked in the building. If you leave with at least 3 levels better than what you were, I'm happy. And that's really the big thing for me, because I want them to do better. I want everybody to do better. And it sucks. Like, sometimes they go to a place and then they realize grass isn't greener on the other side.
Right. Right. Yeah. They went somewhere for $1 or $2 an hour more, and they found out that they don't like the culture or anything, and they come back. That's a good attitude to have, because
so it works out.
it's the same thing with our industry. So we hire a lot of people, and we train them, and we teach them a lot of things. And I had someone tell me, "Aren't you afraid that you'll train them and they leave?" And I'm like, "No, I'm afraid I'll hire them and they won't learn anything." So I'd rather
Yeah.
train. Yeah. So how has technology like EVs, ADAS, change how independent shops are operating? Have you seen a change in how you operate with these new technologies?
Not really. I mean, if you really think about it, like, I'll go back to my dad's time, like in 1980s, everything was carbureted. Then it went from carbureted to direct injection, and then it went to fuel injection, and then it went to direct injection, and then it went to hybrid. And, like, the changes are there, yes, but the same basic concept at the core of it is still, it's 4 wheels, it goes down the road, it has some sort of transmission to give power to the wheels and some sort of motor. It's just a different alternative of fuel is all you're looking at. Yes, there are certain protocols you need to follow, obviously, with your electric cars and whatnot, as far as safety stuff.
Hmm.
So some of the safety equipment has definitely changed, like making sure you have the high voltage gloves and the ground strap and all these different things. But as far as doing our 300% rule, which I'm kind of coining that one off Lucas Underwood a little bit, is, doing 100% of the car 100% of the time, and then 100% of the cars that come in get a DVI, and then 100% of it gets presented to the client. Nothing in that, like the cores of the day-to-day operations has not changed, and it's
Right.
not going to, because the reality is, as long as you follow those three things, everything else falls in place. Yes, the technology changes. Do we have to have more laptops with OE scanners and OE programming capabilities and stuff like that? Absolutely. Is there more money going into that kind of stuff? For sure. But the reality of it is that the shift is different, but it's really, if you look at the base of it, it's the same, just different fuel alternatives.
Right.
Who knows what's
When
coming
I
next?
read about advances in automobiles, it said, "Oh, heads-up displays, automatic closing doors, um, you know, um,
Yeah.
automatic whatever that thing is I turn off on my car, where it measures the distance to the next car, all that lane change,
The auto start stop.
assist, all this stuff. I turn
Yep.
my stuff off. I drive my car, but anyway, it's the same thing. It's still a car, four wheels, transmission goes down the road. So yeah, so I understand exactly what you're talking about there. Yeah.
That's
So
it. Yeah.
so how do you approach like leadership? Culture is really important in any shop. Now you've already told me you have a fantastic culture because you have mechanics waiting to come work in your shop. That I don't have to ask you
Yeah.
culture, how good your culture is. I already know, but it's really important for a shop, and a lot of shop owners don't focus on that. So I just read a thing on leadership yesterday where it says the best thing that you can do is provide a atmosphere where they can grow and they have a passion and they want to learn more and they want to do more. And not here, I need you to do this job and I need you to do it within 30 minutes and I'm going to be timing you. So it's hard to, get that
Yeah.
switch sometimes. So any advice that you've got or that your parents have passed on to you about, you know,
Um, my my biggest thing is, unfortunately, you got to be prepared to eat some crow and definitely get hurt a few times, both on the monetary side and on the production side, as well as sometimes the personal side. Like sometimes you will get hurt personally, and the thing is you got to persevere and really like push through with it because it's like when I first made the switch of like the way my dad operated, which hey, the way he operated worked for 40 some odd years. I'm not gonna knock that. It worked. It did well. We were really, really profitable for a lot of years. I had to when I started really taking over the shop about 6, 7 years ago, where I was running the day to day and he was stepping out. Um, One, I had to fall on my face a few times, a lot of times actually,
right, of course.
and really show like to the team, like, listen, I'm not here. Obviously, we're here to make money and whatnot, but right now we're gonna eat some crow. I want to grow everybody so that way I can be profitable later. And also, at the end of the day, the goal is where I don't need to be part of this business on a day-to-day basis when I'm 60. So that way these guys can grow leaders within leaders. And that's really where part of the hiring process for me is, first of all, I have 6 interviews per hire. It is a royal pain in the butt. It takes a long time. It's an hour each. And a lot of people don't make it through the 6 because they think it's a waste of their time. And that is A-okay. Those aren't the people I'm looking for. So that's the first process. The second process for me is really, we do a ton of mentorship here. There are times when we're slower that I will just allow them to work on a car that's probably way above their skill level so that they can screw it up as much as they need to. But they also know they have the safety net is if they do screw it up, we're going to take care of it. We're not going to charge the customer for it or whatever, just for the simple reason I'm letting them learn. There are obviously some situations where that can't happen, And I understand some shops are so busy all the time, 24/7, they don't really have that capability. But really carving out the time, because we are seasonal, so that during the summertime we're super, super busy, so they don't get as much time to learn during the summertime. But during the wintertime, we kind of have like a nice little lull where we're still okay, we're not horrible, and we're holding it. And then that's the time that I really take the time to teach, and they get the time to play with these cars and, go into the factory scan tool and pull up all the stuff and play inside a car. And maybe like, a car comes in for a brake job, but we might be screwing around with some other stuff, like looking at the engine control modules and all the PIDs in there, and the transmission and the differentials and all the different, modules that are in there, and what are the capabilities. And then sometimes they'll take that opportunity as well to pull like scope patterns of known goods and record it and document it, so that way we have a comparison for the next time we see this car. Allowing them to mess up without having them be yelled at has really been my biggest thing. Like the minute they walk in the door, I tell them, listen, I don't care if you break something, just let me know that you do, and we're going to go ahead and take care of that. Now, obviously, there are guidelines within that. Like, for an example, if they break a TPMS sensor off a tire because they didn't dismount the tire correctly the first time, I'm not going to get mad about it. But if they do it 2, 3, 4, 5 redunculously amount of times later, yeah, then we're going to have a conversation. I'm not going to let them obviously abuse it, but there's definitely lines to it, if that makes sense.
Yes. And what you're doing is you're providing a safe place in your workplace, like we do, where they can make mistakes. Let me pass something on to you that you might like, and other shop owners listening might like. We belong to a mastermind group of 250 agency owners, and one of them implemented something called mistake sheets. So every single one of my departments has a mistake sheet, and all the mistakes that have ever been made by prior team members or the current team members is on that mistake sheet. When we hire somebody, they have to read the mistake sheet. They have to read that mistake sheet, and then they have to sign off that they've read it. And then we review it with their team leader every single month. Mistakes have dropped by 90% by doing that. So just thought I'd pass that along.
I like that idea.
But yeah, it's a great idea. So because we keep hiring, you have changeover in staff, you hire new people, they make the same mistakes people have made in the past. Not anymore. And because they have to read and sign off, yep, I read it, I understand these mistakes. So what's money? No shop's going to run without good fiscal policy. Any advice for any shop owners on how to handle the company's finances?
No, I suck at that. I'll be honest with you.
All right.
I pay a very wonderful accountant, and I am terrible with it. As far as money goes, I just try to track as much as I can. We've split it out quite a bit, and no, it's been, yeah, I suck at that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm even remotely good with that. There are way better people than me on that one.
Well, that's really great advice, okay? Because a lot of people try to tackle everything, and that's not usually a good idea. What am I best at? Let me focus on that. The stuff that I don't like, let me pass it on to someone else. And let them take care of it. So, and you just watch the numbers. So, what advice would you give to a shop that's stuck at, let's say, $500,000 a year, and they want to get to $1 million?
Okay, so that's tough for me. I never really, I'll be honest, I took over the business, obviously, and when I took over, we were doing about, on average, 800 to 900,000 consistently out of the two-bay shop.
Out of a two-bay, okay.
The big thing that I pushed on, which got us, so I pushed us to over we just broke $1 million last year before we moved here, was, making sure my labor rate was actually, my effective labor rate was actually where it needed to be profitable, making sure my parts margins are there. But also, I gotta say, I really credit my team on this one. They work so hard to really see, that we're all doing successful. Bonuses work out great. We do a team bonus plan plus their hourly rate so that they really work together. trying to just find ways to get, like, I will say this, like, I am terrible with numbers and stuff like that. I try to be really good with it. I like them. I'm not very good with it. And I know that. But what I am good with is people and inspiring my team to do more without having to, like, obviously obviously SPIPs help, but that's not my only go-to. Like, just being able to get them to want to see this shop succeed, and, you know, being able to see the vision and the goals of the shop. And, you know, it also gives them the light of there's growth opportunity, because as we grow and we get bigger, I'm going to need management staff. I've already started to hire for that within my team. I'm going to need somebody, because I'm going to eventually go buy a couple of more shops. I'm going to need somebody to run this shop, the next shop, and so on and so forth. So that having that growth goal and outline to them with a reasonable-ish time frame.
Any advice on work-life integration? A lot of shop owners work a lot of hours. So any advice on home life and work life?
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
It is my goal at some point to be able to go down to 4 days a week, 10 hours a day on those 4 days, and then have 3 days to my family. That is what I have given my entire team. So my team has 4-day work weeks. They work 10-hour days, and then they have 3 days off. And it's a rotating schedule.
Yeah, we're Monday through Thursday. We got a lot.
So it works out for them. Well, we're Monday through Saturday, but what I did is I rotated it so, like, I'll have 2 techs at all times of the week, and it'll be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is 1 tech, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then the other tech will fill in the other days to make sure that there's always 2 techs in the shop at all times.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, any questions that I didn't ask that you think I should have asked?
Nothing that I can think of.
Any strategies that you found really effective for retaining loyal customers, besides just doing a really good job for them?
So we do rental cars and pick up and drop off, which I'm sure there's 1,000 shops out there that also do that same thing. We really emphasize on the pick up and drop off, like where they don't have to even leave their own home. And we'll come to their house, grab their car. It's almost like a mobile service, but we're just not doing the work at their house. We're just grabbing their car, bringing it here, and then dropping it back off. That seems to help with retention as far as that goes, and tends to get a lot of people talking. The other thing we do is anytime we do pick up and drop off a car, I have these little like cards with everything that we do with our phone number, and then it's got like a 20% off coupon. And what we'll do is we'll go up and down the street on any of the doors and whatnot, and we'll just put them in the doors. That is neighbors to that client, and we usually write, hey, ask this client for how we are. And what we'll do is we'll just top it in there, and like it'll just say like Mrs. Jones lives here. That obviously that's her neighborhood. They all know who Mrs. Jones is. So I talk to Mrs. Jones about us, and then we just throw it up and down the street, that just a couple of houses around that house, and then they'll all go over. And then next thing you know, it kind of forces Mrs. Jones to talk about me. And if she likes us, she's going to talk a lot about us. If she doesn't, she's not. So it can bite us in the butt. But most of the time it works out really well because we get a lot of new referrals that way.
Yeah, that sounds like a really unique idea. I've never heard that one before for getting new customers, not retaining them, but getting new ones. That's a really great idea. Just go around the house. That's an awesome idea. So I'm going to make a notation of that one and pass it along to my customers. So anyway, I do want to thank you a bunch for your time today on the podcast. So hope you guys and your staff have a really good new year. All right, so let me go ahead and...
For additional automotive resources and exclusive content, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our episodes. Thanks again for joining us in the driver's seat, and we'll see you next time for another thrilling episode of Top Shop.